Hey, welcome everyone. If you're coming to the class live, it's awesome. I love to know that there's some energy on the other side of the equation. And if you're coming later, that's great too. Maybe you're winding down um, end of the day when things are a bit cooler. I'm in a different space than I usually am at this time. I'm down in my basement, which is cooler. But there's some work going on upstairs and outside my house. So if you hear a little bit of drilling, I apologize for that. This is an express flow, so it's only a half hour or so. And so we'll get right started. Nothing that you really need. I have a hard floor, so I've got a blanket down on my mat just for my knees. If you usually use blocks to extend your arms when we're in some of the lunges, then you're welcome to do that, or you might have books in your space. But let's settle for a few moments in child's pose. So letting the big toes come together, you can separate your knees comfortably wide. Let your hands walk forward. If you do have a block or a book and you want to place it underneath your forehead, you can do that, or maybe your forehead comes right to the mat. If your knees are apart, then there's some space for the organs of the belly, or if you're pregnant, some room for that. Beautiful baby just to rest. Otherwise, you can bring your knees together. And the elbows can be relaxed, the arms don't have to be straight. Just get comfortable and start to turn on your interior telescope. So you've been somewhere else, and your mind may still be connected with all of that. And we're not getting ahead of the game here. We may have something that we're moving towards later in our day or evening. So this is a transition. Just in your practice this morning, as we move and breathe, just to notice the transitions between postures or between breaths. You might notice that breath is happening right now. That very small space that happens when the inhale is complete. And again, when the carbon dioxide has emptied out at the bottom. We'll just start to come into your breath now. You might be breathing in and out through the nose, or your lips can be parted and fog up a mirror. Taking a few deeper breaths to fill in the entire torso, through the sides of the ribs, and finding some space in the lower back. Good, and then just shift your gaze towards your hands. You can come up on your fingertips and start to activate the arms. So the elbows lift and the upper arm bones roll under. Start to shift forward. You can move the knees back of the hips a little bit here, so it's a long tabletop. And just let your hips drop over to one side. The elbows can be bent, come back to center, inhale, and exhale. Just let the hips swing over to the other side. Maybe you've been doing some sitting today. So just feel out the hips with the knees. They can be together or apart. Just rocking the hips a couple more times and draw the belly in as you do that. So engaging in the core. Good, and then bring it back through here. Shift the weight forward into the inner palms and then back towards the heels. Not doing any particular flexion or extension, but just sliding the spine along a diagonal line. So the pelvis stays fairly neutral. More about the hip flexors, just opening a little bit as you come forward and then back, and you can move at a slow pace or a little bit quicker. And let's come forward and start to do a big lift of the ribs to the right and then back and then drop over to the left. So we're rolling the barrel up and over to the right.
head, neck, and shoulders, just nice and loose, following along in whatever way feels like you are moving a ball inside your rib cage. Just keeping it in that direction one more time. Nice deep breaths here, and then change it up, go the other way. So lift up and over. On the left side, whichever side you're moving, doesn't really matter. Maybe try to have some humor with how the brain is getting stuck in one direction or the other. And then let's shift into a tabletop, moving the hands in a little bit closer. You can spin the fingers just away from yourself, or you can move the fingers so they're more or less pointing back towards yourself, and just shift a few times around there, stretching out the wrist, pressing through the inner palms. Maybe you've been working at your screen. Let's do that a couple times. Staying with a bit of lift in the front body so not all of your weight is coming into the palms. Slowly start to sit back towards the heels and peel the thumbs up. And then the base of the palms. And then the fingers. If it's comfortable to sit back on your heels, you can do that and give your wrists a few flicks and a shake. Tuck the thumbs right inside the fingers. Wrap the fingers around and do a few circles. And then bring the backs of the hands down now. The fingers can be facing in towards each other. And come back into that little table shape as you move the weight around here as well. Maybe make a fist with the hands and then open it up. So stretch the back line of the arms and the wrists, squeezing into that little fist, or however much that you need that. This time let's curl the toes under and just come back to sit and clasp the hands together and do some wavy movements here. And play the piano and then some sort of string instrument. We'll come back through center again, and in a tabletop shape, press the inner palms now and just lift the knees. Take a few breaths there. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, lifting the belly, and just trying to breathe into the back of the heart, puffing that area towards the ceiling. Feeling the quads start to light up and drawing the crown of the head forward for one more breath. And then press it up and back. Keep the knees bent as you walk the feet comfortably wide and let your head just dangle in there, continuing to press in the inner palms and a little bit of an arch in the low back with the knees bent. Keep the left knee super bent as the right heel drops. You can swing your hips a little to the left. And then deep knee bend with the right and let the left heel drop. Come back to center and let's shift forward to plank pose. Just dropping the hips there. And then up and back, downward facing dog. So you could keep your knees bent and just find the right distance for you between your hands and feet. Tuck the tail under as you drop the hips and come forward, but keeping strong in the front body. Plank, and then up and back, downward facing dog. And one more time, taking it through the plank pose. And tapping the knees down there. Narrow the elbows. If you can lower all the way to the ground. If you're pregnant and you would not want to be going to your belly, then you can be back on your heels and do a cobra that is just with the cactus arms. If you're lowering down onto your tummy, and that's okay, then take the fingers wide and take 3 baby cobras. Lengthening from the pelvis all the way along the spine. Not needing to come up super high. Then one more time. Inhale. And then exhale, take it back. Let's move through table again. Walking the wrists in and then curl the toes under and just hover the knees for a moment. Getting the core strength. Press the hips up and back on the inhale. And stay for the exhale. One more time, high on the heels and walking it forward to plank pose. Lifting the belly and taking a full breath cycle there. And then tap the knees down. If you're lowering all the way, narrow the elbows to come down. Fingertips in line with the shoulders if they're not too tight for cobra, 3 cobras. Or if you're sitting back on your knees, then just doing that cactus shape and staying with your breath. Dropping the tailbone or lengthening it either way. And slide the hands back if you're on your tummy and press through table. And bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. And let's take the right arm and open it up the side. So we're going to thread the needle. And then wrap the right arm and come all the way down onto the right shoulder. So you can stay with your hips up or you can be sitting right back towards your heels, reaching the left fingers forward or towards the ceiling for 3, 2, and 1. Back with the left palm to press down, to lift up into tabletop shape. Second side, so open up the left, inhale, and exhale, bring that arm under. Reach it across, rest left shoulder, left cheek. You can slide the right fingers forward or reach that arm up towards the ceiling. Taking another full breath cycle here. And release that arm, pressing the palm down to the floor to come back into table shape. Toes curl under, hover for a moment, inhale. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Let's have the heels come, or the feet can come a little bit closer together. Maybe on the balls of the feet, and just shift the heels over towards the right. Heavy the heels, or maybe they come down, they don't have to, but just to get into a IT band or the outer hamstring on the left side, left hip. Come high on the tippy toes again, inhale, and then switch, let the heels move a little bit towards the left. Weight down through the outer right foot and the right palm, inhale. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Let's take the right leg and reach it up for 3-legged dog. And bring the right knee towards the nose and lift the heel towards the seat, giving you a little bit of space to step or help that right foot to come forward. In a low lunge here, we'll tap the back knee down and just take a breath in. And then we'll slide the hips back. Let's keep the right big toe on the floor. Shifting through on the inhale. And then exhale, hips coming back. Keeping that length in the front body. You can stay connected, ribs to front thigh. One more time forward. And then take it back again. Just shift back to low lunge and pick up the back knee. Weight into the palms, or you can use fists here if you prefer. We'll step right to plank pose. And shifting through the vinyasa to tap the knees and then lower, or take any variation of the back bend. So cobra, or the fingers can slide back further to take an upward facing dog. Energetically pressing the tops of the feet, drawing them forward. And then downward facing dog. Or child's pose, finding this pose and allowing the breath to fill this entire structure, the support of your body in this upside down V shape. Just tuning into breath, interior telescope. Let's have the left leg now reach up, 3-legged dog. And left knee towards the nose, shifting the gaze forward, heel high. And stepping up. Might have blocks or books under your hands. We'll tap the back knee down and widen across the collarbones. The back foot can be toes curled under or top of the foot down. And then slide the hips back. Let's have the big toe stay on the floor just to get a little more into the shin today. And then come back, inhale. And exhale. Shift forward the right hip flexor. And last time, come back. This time as you come forward, curl the back toes under, press palms or fists, step into plank. And then moving through your vinyasa to lower or just to come into tabletop. A back bend, don't even have to use your hands, you can let them reach along your sides to give your wrists a break and float the arms, squeezing between the shoulder blades, coming out of the rounded poses. Lower exhale, palms press and lift up and back. Let's take it into downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. It's 1, 2, and 3. Let's walk the hands back in the direction of the feet now. Turn the toes out a little bit. Bring your hands to the floor. Just come up on your heels into a little squat. Broaden the collarbones. And then exhale, pick your seat up. You can parallel your feet here as you come into the forward fold. Give your chin a tuck in and let your spine be long. You might have a bend in the knees. And then turn the toes out as you inhale, drop into a squat. So for me, I need to lift my heels, a little bit of balancing, and then pull the belly in, heels drop, and parallel the feet again into the forward fold. Toes open up, inhale, squat, just coming down, you don't have to come all the way down, and exhale, let's take the forward fold now with the feet parallel, and catching opposite elbows in front or behind the legs, not the head. Yes and no a couple times. Open the mouth, release some of the building heat. Can sway. And then let's tuck the chin in and roll all the way up. Coming all the way up for just a few shoulder circles. A little bit of bouncing, so bounce on the heels. Create some fluids moving through all of the joints, nice and loose, shaking and jiggling, just letting everything bounce around. Slowing that movement down now. And allow yourself to settle here in mountain pose. Good, we'll reach the arms up. Take a hold of the left wrist, press down through the feet and up and over to the right. Exhale. Just come up a little on the inhale and then exhale to the right. Once more in and exhale. And back through center. We'll switch. So left hand grabs right wrist up and over left. Just keeping the hips above the knees as you get mostly into a few bobs so that you get the rib cage here under the arm, intercostal muscles. Back through center and take it into a cactus shape, letting the elbows move a little bit forward and start to bend at the knees. Let's flip the hands down and come around behind the back. Hook the thumbs together, come a little deeper into a chair pose, squeezing the shoulder blades together for 3, 2, and 1. Belly to thighs. Releasing the arms away from the back if that feels okay. And dropping the head. Let's release the arms and come up halfway. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees and crawl forward to plank. You can tap the knees and take it into child's pose or come through a vinyasa flow, knees to the floor and lower. Moving into your back bend on the inhale. The exhale through a tabletop, toes curl under, downward facing dog. We'll just take 1 breath there. On empty, draw the belly in and walk forward, feet towards the hands, and come up halfway, inhale. And exhale, release. Roll up on the inhale, reach the arms. And exhale, dive forward again, moving into flow, come up halfway, inhale. And fold, exhale. Let's step the left leg back and Come into a low lunge for a breath, lift the heart. Let's pivot the back heel if that's okay for your hips. So make sure the feet have a little bit of separation. And bring the right thumb into the right hip crease and draw the left arm forward. Finding the strength of the legs and particularly the outer back foot to take some of it out of the front foot. And come all the way up, reach both arms up for warrior one. You can take any position with the arms up or the cactus, or if you're feeling a little bit, the breath is really speeding up too much, just connecting with the heart here. One more breath. Then we'll open it up into warrior two. So I'm adjusting the legs a little longer and the back foot a little wider open, flying the warrior two on the inhale. And just swing the arms, exhale. Inhale, straighten both legs, and then exhale, cross the other elbow. Inhale. Into the lunge, just swinging the arms a couple more times. One elbow over the other elbow. Good. Let's take the right elbow underneath the left elbow now for an eagle shape in this warrior two. And just look out over the right shoulder. Hug the right glute to center. Lengthen through the inner knee, right side. Seeing if you can keep your spine in the center. Your tailbone long. One more breath. Straighten the front leg, open the arms again, and reverse Trikonasana. Inhale. And then exhale one more time. Bend the front knee for side angle pose. Reach it out. Rest the right elbow just along the thigh. And take your left hand to your sternum and roll it to the ceiling. Or let the left hand rest at the low back, wrapping around to catch the hip. Looking at the side or a little bit upwards for one more inhale. And exhale. Let's turn to face, or just looking at the floor. We'll come up a little bit and then high on the back toes for that high lunge again. A little bit of balance, can bend the back knee. Bring just the left hand down now and we'll twist to the right. Opening up the right arm. A few circles of the right arm, reaching forward on a diagonal, and then reaching to the back. You could have a block or book underneath your left hand. Forward on a diagonal to the left, and then back. And one more time, reach, reach, reach. And bring your hands down. And step to downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa, or come to your knees for a break. We'll meet in downward facing dog for 3 more breaths. It's 1, 2, and 3. High on the tiptoes, inhale. On empty, walk towards the front. Halfway lengthen. Fold, exhale. Press the feet, inhale, reach. And dive forward, exhale. We'll do the second side. It's coming up halfway. And fold, stepping the right leg back. It's coming into that low lunge for a breath here. And then we'll pivot the back heel. If that's okay for you, you could stay high on the back toes. And draw the left hip crease back and in a little bit with the left thumb. Plug into the right foot, reach the right arm forward. And then coming up, keeping the lunge and both arms in any position. Tight shoulders to the prayer, or open it up for 3, 2, and 1. So let's take the warrior two shape now, turning the hips to face the side and spreading out through the arms. Just finding the configuration of your spine in center and the affirmation through the outer right foot. And we'll fly that warrior a few times, bringing the arms up, straightening. And then exhale, just swinging the elbows, just kind of loosely, or any sort of orchestra shapes. May feel a little awkward.
Swinging it out and bending and straightening the front knee. We're going to come into that warrior two now with the left elbow under the right and moving the rib cage a little more to the right, lifting the elbows a little bit. So elbows move to the right as the left knee moves further to the left for one more breath. Warrior two, inhale. And then reverse Trikonasana, exhale. Let's inhale back through warrior two and then lengthen it out to find a side angle. Elbow to thigh, or if you're using a block, you can come to the floor and we'll reach forward on the diagonal with the right arm and then open, reaching a few of those circles. Last one. And then right hand can come to the floor on either side of the left foot. Left hand comes down as well. Option to take it downward dog or go through another flow. We're going to meet in a child's pose where we started. Checking back in with that interior landscape. So the shape that we started the class with here, grounding, settling, and friendly and open to all the sensations that are coming and going. Just present, sound, sight, feeling of weight or contact. Good, let's take a pigeon pose. So a couple of options. You can move through the table and into downward dog. This may be the most familiar, to reach your right leg up and back. And then bring the right knee towards the right wrist. You could use your blanket or block to tuck underneath your sits bones for some support. And just come high on the fingertips, wrapping the left hip forward. The other options would be to have both knees bent and you'd be sitting more onto your right hip with your right shin parallel with the front of the mat, with a little bit of a lean in there. Or on your back with the right ankle above the left knee is great. So anything that's going on in the knee, you want to be on your back for that. If you're in the upright position, you can incline your chest forward. If you've got room to come to your elbows, or let your thumbs meet between the eyebrows and get that area of the brain that can get sticky and attached to particular thought streams. Thinking is fine. It's what the brain is engineered to do. Just not having it be so sticky or so much reactivity to the things that are passing by, just like clouds across the open sky. If you're on your back, please stay there. Otherwise, bring the hands down beside your ribs, curl the toes under and press up and back, downward dog. You might give that right leg a shake out if you're in downward dog. And then the left leg can reach back. If you're coming in this way, left knee over to left wrist. The left heel lining itself up underneath the right hip flexor, unless you're really open in the hips, and then you'd be, the front shin would be more parallel. Or you can bend the back knee and be sitting in a more of that figure four shape. Stay up high if you're on this tummy version. Broadening the collarbones. And if it's accessible for you to come down and rest, then any arm variation, the forehead can just come right down to the fists or palm on palm. Letting the breath circulate around the hips, any tightness, any of the stored baggage there. And then the transition that you'd like to take from this, you can just sit over to one side and swing the legs forward, or you can take it through another vinyasa, downward dog. Let's just meet sitting with the legs forward and bring the fingertips behind the back. Give yourself a bit of height and extension through the collarbones. You can stay like that or walk your hands forward to hold on to your shins or piece fingers on the big toes. If hamstrings are tight, you might roll your blanket up underneath there or even have a deeper bend at the knees and wrap your elbows underneath so you get this nice stretch for the lower back. Let's take 5 breaths there. 1, 2, 3. Just coming up for a breath, lengthen the spine, inhale, and exhale, release. So we're about at time. If you have the time to take a Shavasana, to be lying on your back, or you can, if you're off to something else, even just to take a minute in a seated place is nice. So see what your intuition with that interior telescope says about what you need right now. Notice any struggle, any tension that there might be in the face. If you're tuning in and it's in the evening and you're going to doze off, then you can feel free to do that. Otherwise, bring the awareness to the body in whatever posture you've chosen to be in. Just recognizing yourself here in the shape, simply being and experiencing the flow of breath, sound, sensations, emotions, all the stream of consciousness that's here in this transition. So continuing to rest, or if you're closing your practice now, then take some time to rub the palms together. And even just give a little bit of a rub to your forearms, your upper arms. And let it go. Eyes are closed, you can blink them open. Just take in your surroundings. Hands in the lap or resting at the heart center to appreciate your intentionality to be present and to have appreciation and gratitude towards the fact that we can amazingly still be here practicing as a community from our own home studios. And I'm really looking forward to doing some in-person outdoor classes with you next week. So thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful, whatever it